Welcome, everyone, and good morning or good afternoon, depending on where you're dialing in from. If you're here for the Employee Appreciation Day 2025 session, 10 Ways to Celebrate Your Team with Dr. Bob Nelson, then you are in the right place. We'll kick things off in just a few moments as people join in, and while we wait, feel free to drop a quick hello in the chat and let me know where you're tuning in from. And if you're feeling up to it, I have a bonus icebreaker question. What's something exciting that you're looking forward to? It can be a trip, maybe a new hobby you're picking up this year, anything really. I just love hearing what people are up to. I can start as people are putting their answers in the chat. I'm located in Vancouver, British Columbia, and something fun I'm looking forward to. I started a 2-day sculpting course, and so this week we're going to painting and glazing it. So I'm very excited to see how that turns out, and I think it's looking a little sad right now, but after the paint job, it should look a lot better. I'm gonna go into the comments and here. Monica said, Houston, Texas, giving blood for the first time. That is super exciting. Donna from Atlanta, Sonia from Alamosa, Jared from Huntington. Jean's excited for spring. That is very exciting. Crystal, hello from Lubbock, hanging out with your granddaughter as she's only 4 months old. That is a very exciting thing as well. Well, thank you everyone for sharing. I'm just going to read a few more here. Susan from Calgary, Alberta. Looking forward to another season of dragon boating in the spring. Oh, that's super exciting. Maria's from Indianapolis, planning an anniversary trip. And Caroline, looking forward to warmer weather. Thank you everyone for sharing. Sounds like a really eventful upcoming month. So very excited for all of you and looking forward to this webinar with y'all. Awesome. We do have quite a bit of stuff to get through today. So Dr. Bob, if you don't mind flipping to the next slide, I'll just go over some really quick housekeeping items. So as many of you have discovered, we do have the chat box feature open. And if you want to make a comment to be seen by everyone, make sure your blue drop down is selected to everyone. So it's not just me, Dr. Bob, and Jason seeing your comments. We also have the Q&A box open as well. So if there's a question you want us to save until the end and not have it buried in the comments here, feel free to pop those in the Q&A box. We'll also be giving out professional development credits at the end, and as well, we'll be recording this session and sending it out afterwards. And on the next slide here, Dr. Bob, I just wanted to spend a few moments to set the stage for this session. Dr. Bob and I really wanted to make sure that the session was timely and really relevant to Employee Appreciation Day, but also that it extends beyond this day. So here's the agenda. Dr. Bob wanted to share the latest trends that he's seeing around employee appreciation and boosting employee engagement, share some key motivators that just really boost that workplace well-being and employee engagement, and of course, offer up practical ideas that you can take and use at your own workplace. And now, before we pass it to Dr. Bob, Jason, I'd love to invite you to the stage. Jason is Bucket List's co-founder and CEO, and I'd love for you, Jason, to share a few words about Employee Appreciation Day, and then, of course, introduce Dr. Bob, who is our guest speaker and our star. Over to you, Jason.
Yeah, thank you, Becca. So thank you everybody for joining today's webinar. This is actually the fourth time we've hosted this session, and this will be the fourth appearance by Dr. Bob, and I'll be introducing him in a moment. As a recognition company, employee recognition and employee appreciation day is near and dear to our hearts, and I'm so excited to have everybody here to learn some great tips and takeaways from today's session. And we do have a pretty cool / special offer for everybody who's attending. We have something called a demo recognition box. And basically, if you're interested in speaking with a recognition expert, we have a little thank you present. And inside the recognition box is pretty darn cool. We have a book. It's one of Harvard Business Review's must-reads on building great culture. We have some delicious snacks, some Sugar Fino little bento box, and a couple of other goodies in there as well. If you want to take advantage of that, please feel free to scan the QR code now. You can do it now. We'll be presenting a similar offer at the end of today's session as well, so you can do it then as well. So pop open your phones, snap that QR code, and go ahead and fill it out. And while we're doing that, I'd love to take a moment to introduce Dr. Bob. If you jump to the next slide there. Um, so as I mentioned before, this is the fourth appearance by Dr. Bob on Employee Appreciation Day, and I'd love to welcome him back. And I'd love to also take a few moments to introduce him. He is a world-renowned authority on employee recognition, engagement, and retention. He's the president of Nelson Motivation. And he's also the creator of Employee Appreciation Day, the day that we're all here to celebrate. He has sold over 5 million books. I have a couple of author friends, and that's a really big deal. So congrats to you, Dr. Bob. He's also a leading figure in the management and rewards literature, and he's translated his books into over 30 different languages. He's also worked with 80% of the Fortune 500 companies, and he holds an MBA from UC Berkeley and a PhD in management and human behavior. So welcome, Dr. Bob. It's such a treat to have you back here on the fourth Employee Appreciation Day with Bucket List Rewards.
Can you believe it? Thanks so much. And Becca, thank you. All right. Here you go. So these are a couple of companies I've worked with. I do this every almost every week. I'm out talking with some company, and it's been a fun ride. I've been doing this for 25, going on 30 years. And one of the great things about it is I learn from everyone I work with, and I absorb and then I pass it on to the next person and to you all. So it makes I get more and more entrenched in a topic I'm already deeply involved with and deeply motivated with. I did my doctoral dissertation on this topic and specifically why some managers use recognition. And in every company, there's some managers that are good at this, but there's and there's some managers that refuse to do it for different reasons, and then everyone else is kind of in the middle, and maybe they'll do it, but they're not sure how, and they don't feel creative, and maybe I'll look silly, and et cetera, et cetera. And so the top reason why I found that why managers don't use recognition is they don't know how to do it well. So stuff like this, sharing the concepts and the ideas, is one way to get them in the game. and try it. You might like it. And what I found also in my dissertation, I asked managers, where do you get recognition from? And I'm surprised that the top reason was they get it from their own employees. So if you use recognition, your people will value and they will find ways to thank you because they want to keep it coming. And so that's kind of cool. Yep, there's my walking on music. So here we go. And so Richard Branson once said, if you take care of your people, they'll take care of your business. I don't think it's easier than this. Take care of your people, they'll take care of your business. And that's what we're really all about here, is how to better take care of your people, how to let them know when they've done a good job, and the power of making that happen. So we're in constant change as a workplace, and a work environment. Of late, the hybrid work environment, going back to, I used to talk about this before the pandemic, and then with the pandemic, it became widespread. 42% of the U.S. workforce, at least, were working from home during the pandemic, and more of late, since then, we've got now most or 40% of employers. It might be even higher now with the federal employees. The 2 million federal employees in the U.S. have been asked to all come back to work every day, full time, are now being asked to show up every single day. And although we have overwhelming proof that you could be more productive at home, there's a lot of fear that, well, I don't want people doing their laundry or taking a break. We take breaks at work too, at the office. So it's kind of silly. I know my next door neighbors. He's suddenly has to drive into work, and it's with the traffic, and then because everyone's coming in, there's no parking, so he has to walk over a mile away. So it adds an extra hour and a half times 2, 3 hours a day just to sit in the car and get to the office. And it's kind of silly, really, in this day and age, but that's where we're at. If, by the way, you are committed to wanting to be virtual, I can send you a list of 35-page list of companies that only hire virtual employees. So if depending on where you are in your career and your life, and if you want more balance that you can get from working at home and seeing your family a little bit more often and not wasting time in a commute and other related things, it's very possible to continue doing that, even though there's onus on a lot of companies putting the pressure on for people to come back. 61% of white collar employees want their company to let them continue to work remotely, and there a lot of them are doing that. 50% of U.S. workers report that their job can be done remotely. Now, if you have to deal with a customer and the customer is physical, or you have to be, you're building products in a manufacturing plant, and that's where the work is, you got to be there. But in today's economy, for so many service-based workers, hospitality workers, um, you know, the front line has to be there, but there's so many other jobs that do not have to be there every day. And even with ones that do, you can have flexibility, and there's within the day, and or ability to go to a dental appointment and not take a day off to do it. So there's a lot of room for flexibility and autonomy in even inside an office that you have to go to. 32% of employees would like to continue to work from home permanently. And again, if that for whatever reasons is really a priority for your life choices, and I feel convinced you can do that. For example, if you've ever heard of Elance, there's several websites that you can post actually workers around the globe post their skills in a project basis or a retainer basis or an hourly basis. And darn, I tell you, I've hired some people to. I had an engineer in the Philippines moonlighting at night doing spreadsheets for me, doing data mining on, and you know, I think he was just doing it for a little extra income. I think I paid him $5 an hour, just crackerjack work. Just so there's that option, and you can have that option and have a side hustle. If you have a skill set or a hobby and want to supplement your income, um, you know. Those options are available. Uh, so, but back to our topic of employee appreciation, if you really want to get the best from people, whether they're working in the office or remotely or virtually, recognition is the key to make that happen. 67% of employees say recognition is their number one top performance motivator. 67%. Often called the greatest management principle in the world. You get what you reward, what you recognize, what you inspect, what you follow up on, you will get more of. Hands down guaranteed. We've got 400 studies that say this is about as much fact as it comes to in dealing with people and performance. This really does work. And that's what I able to, in fact, as I mentioned, my doctoral dissertation, I already knew that was fact. My question was more, why don't managers make better use of this? Why don't they do it more often? And that's why I dug deeper into. So when you get serious about performance, and every company is serious about performance, whether it's innovation or market share, or of course hitting our revenue numbers, you have to get serious about recognition. They go hand in hand. And what I've seen in most of my career is that companies will say, well, these are the things that are most important to us. Here's our core values, and here's our strategic objectives and our mission. This is what's really important. But then they end up recognizing stuff over here that has nothing to do with what we just said was most important to us. And I just constantly go, what the heck? It's a disconnect. So, if you focus, if your big thing at where you work is you got years of service awards, and we do something on people's birthdays, and we have a holiday party, and you think you're doing recognition, you're not even in the game. You're not in the game. You're not on the radar. You're not connecting with your people. So you might feel like you are because you're spending money and doing activities and have a program set up, but recognition makes people feel special. And you don't get that by having a once a year award banquet or having that's like too little too late. We don't need employees of the month. We need employees of the moment, and we need them every single day. That's where the focus needs to be on the part of every leader in their what I call uh, their their behavioral repertoire, in their sphere of influence. They have to be focused on this. And if you do that, then you will have, if you get a critical mass of your leaders focused on this topic of catching people doing things right, when they see something, say something in a positive way. When they read a report, what do they get out? When they talk to a client and they call out one of your employees, what do you do to pass that on? What do you do to celebrate that? When you hit a goal as a department, what type of spontaneous celebration can you do? It does not have to spend a lot of budget to do this. In fact, I find so many organizations, they get duped by feeling that it's only money that's recognition, because people are asking for money. What I've learned is that for a lot of companies, they end up training their employees that recognition in our culture means money, because we're not doing any thank yous, we're not doing any visibility, we're not having you present your ideas to the management team, we're not calling out success and spotlighting excellence on an ongoing basis. The only thing we do is, at the end of the year, everyone gets 2% more, or whatever the going rate is. 85% of employees get the same going rate. So there's not even distinction on the money that that it doesn't. There's less than 3% of salary separates average from outstanding performance. If you want outstanding performance on an ongoing basis, it's not a money thing. It's a behavioral thing. This is what I've learned. This is my research validates. This is what I've experienced, and it works. So you have to take this topic seriously around the things you most want more from people. And that's where we're talking about ways to do that. The number one way, and again, I couldn't have written a book called 1,500 Ways to Reward Employees if I didn't think recognition's all around us every day. It's just waiting for you to reach out and grab it and align it with the behavior and performance of the top people that are making stuff happen on a daily basis. It's all around us every day. And so if you think it's just money, or you think it's just end of the year stuff, or you think it's just maybe something on someone's birthday, uh, you gotta shake that. You gotta stop, get out of the 1940s and bring it to the current, to the people now, and find out what your people want and ask them, okay? And then try to give them that as they perform. That's the whole webinar. We're done. Okay. But to get into the 1,500 ways, and that book has 28 categories. The most important by far is praise, simple recognition and praise for work well done. Okay. Thank you could be personal, ideally personal, face to face if you can. If not, call a person, have them come to your office, whatever. A written note or electronic. It could be voicemail, it could be a text, could be a pager. For those of you that have, employees that are on a pager, maybe they're working for a restaurant or whatnot. It could be public. And I did a side study on 52 explicit behaviors in which were most important for people to be successful in their job, to be performers, and came back with put those into 10 different factors, which are related variables. These are 4 of the top 10 that came up. None of the top 10 cost a dime. These are the top 4, and it initially kind of threw me because isn't praise? Isn't this one bucket, or is this really 4 different buckets? And that it's really 4 different buckets. Praise is so important. There's different categories of praise have different impacts. Think about it. When you praise someone to their face, that sends a message, makes someone feel good right now. But if you write them a note, they can read it and reread it. They can share it with their family. They can post it in front of their workstation. You got something else going on. If you do it publicly, now you're giving them, pulling other people into it. And by the way, when you do that, you're not just praising that person, you're sending a message to everyone else that this is what gets noticed around here. If you want to be noticed, if you want to stand out, if you want to get ahead, do these types of things that we're calling out and praising. It could be public, so, and that could be your department, it could be your company, it could be in the community paper, okay? It could be at a association that you belong to. There's all sorts of ways on any of these, but the most important is simply giving people the feedback that they did good work when they have, not made up, not artificial, but real, sincere. It's got to be to do, and I find a lot of people haven't gotten guidelines for doing good praising even. So I actually, one of the things you're going to get when you send me your address is a little praising wallet cheat sheet, a little tool aid that has these next slides on it. That a good praising is done as soon as possible. The sooner you catch someone doing something right, the more you reinforce the behavior, the more likely it'll be repeated. Fact. It's got to be sincere, come from the heart. It's hard to teach sincerity, but one of the aspects of that is specifics. So when you tell someone they did a good job, what's your evidence? What's your proof? What did you read in the report? What did you hear from the client? What did you see with your own eyes? Put that into the praise. It makes it more meaningful, more credible. Ideally, you want it to be personal. That's not always possible if your employee's in a different time zone or a different building. But you could still, you can give them a call. You can send them a note that positive, 100% positive. That should go without saying. But I've learned that a lot of managers, the way they praise when they do is, Sally, thanks for that report for my 2 o'clock meeting. There are a lot of typos in it. Words aren't even out of their mouth. They're already taking away the praise and they're criticizing. Is that what you want to leave them with? It's like having a bad cup of coffee at the end of a meal in a restaurant. This is a terrible restaurant. Save that for a development meeting, a couple months from now. Right now, the behavior you got, if you want to get that behavior again, if you want Sally to come up with a report last minute when you have that meeting, you better acknowledge it now. You better thank her now. You better make her feel good for having helped you in a pinch. If you don't, she's not going to be there for you next time. She'll be busy with something else, or maybe she'll conveniently be, out of the office on an errand or something. It's that simple, and it's got to be proactive. If you wait to be reactive on recognition, and I really see something great, I'll say something. You can spend more of your time being reactive, and you could be reactive around the mistakes and the problems and the fires to put out and the customer complaints and all that. I know so many managers I've worked with that they feel like they're in a hole. They start their day with a to-do list, and before they can even get to the first item, this problem came up. We got to jump on this and that. They spend the whole day bouncing from problem. And I got to say, you got to climb out of the hole and stop chasing performance and start leading the charge as a leader. And you do that through spotlighting what was done well. Encourage that person, encourage others to do more of those type of things. That's leadership. If you're not doing that, you're abdicating. Okay. And you can't chase performance. You got to lead it. So praising is in a nutshell on this card. Just a little reminder. I saw what you did. Okay. Things are moving fast. Got a lot of things going. I saw what you did. I appreciate it. I appreciate you took the time to do it right, whatever it is, in your own words. Here's why that's so important. That ties to our core value on that topic. That's going to help us make our monthly numbers. That's the type of thing that's going to promote stronger teamwork among our team, which we talked about is so important for our mutual success. Here's why it's important. Give that context, adds meaning to the time you take, even if it's only 10 seconds in the hallway. And here's how it makes me feel. If you really want to leave a mark, get to the emotional level. Okay. I'm so glad I hired you. Thanks for confirming my good judgment. And I knew you'd work out great here. I'm so proud that you're on my team. Who wouldn't like hearing that? Now, don't say it just to say it when it's true. Okay. So a good praising has specifics and emotional charge. 1-2 punch. Mark Twain used to say, I can live for 2 weeks on a good compliment. I think it's even longer today because of how infrequently people are getting this in a fast-moving world. Only 12% of employees say they get meaningful recognition on a day-to-day basis. 12%. Although 80% of managers think they're pretty good at this. I call that the knowing doing gap. We know what we should be doing, but we're not actually putting it in our behavior. Unless people can see it, they're not going to feel it. So it's not good to say, yeah, Jerry, yeah, he's one of my best people. He did it again, brought in that new client. Well, did you say anything to Jerry? Did you mention it in the team? Come on, he can't read your thoughts. Ken Blanchard, who I worked with for a decade, he used to say, wrote the 1 Minute Manager, good thoughts not delivered means squat. You gotta make the connection. You gotta behaviorally let people know and why it means so much in general and to you personally. Now, so one thing here, Friday's Employee Appreciation Day, International Employee Appreciation Day. If you do one thing, if there's just one thing you do, take time to personally thank each of your people. Okay. And maybe stretch yourself, do it in a way you haven't done before. So I remember a couple years ago, I had like 16 people reporting to me, and I took time to write them each a letter, and just reflected on the past year and what they had done that stuck out, and the journey they have in their career and working together, and just what it meant to me. I had two of my employees cry. They were so touched. That's a good thing. Okay. Cite specifics as to what they've achieved that have made you so proud. Don't be afraid to say the words. Well, if I do that, then I'm gonna have to give them more money. Well, maybe that sounds like maybe they deserve more money if they're really knocking it out. Stop giving everyone. A lot of managers they abdicate, raises. What's my budget? Okay, everyone gets the same thing, 1.5% raises this year. It's like, that's not management. Rally around the people that are making it happen, and there's maybe someone on the team you should have let go a couple years ago. We keep working around them. They have pictures. What's going on? So it's as easy as that, really. Praising strategies, you could praise them. There's a lot to say on just this one thing because the variable is so important. You can praise someone directly, as I mentioned, in person, on the phone, calling them to your office. You can praise them in front of others, which sends a different kind of message. Now you're kind of bragging about them. You can praise them when they're not around. I call this positive gossip, which 9 times out of 10 is word's going to get back to them. Your boss was really singing your praises in our management meeting. Oh, really? What did he say? He said, well, he said that you rose to the occasion. It could have happened without you. He went on and on. We were all kind of impressed. So I want to thank you too. Now they are able to do that because they heard it, to pass it on. Allow other people to add on. Okay, that's a lot of power of recognition that could be passed on. So let me give you some other fun ideas for Employee Appreciation Day. Real quickly, Hewlett Packard, they have the Golden Banana Award. It started years ago when a senior software technician burst into his manager's office, said, "You won't believe it. I fixed that software bug. Been working on it for months." His manager, knowing the importance of a timely recognition, literally groped him in on his desk, hands the senior software engineer a banana from his lunch with the words, "Great job. I knew you could do it." Now, I'm not sure how you'd feel if your boss handed you a banana one day. That seems kind of silly, but it wasn't silly to the guy that got the banana. He showed everyone the banana the boss gave him and why it took on a life, a story of its own. Today, in that division at Hewlett Packard, Sunnyvale, California, the most important distinction for technical excellence is the Golden Banana Award. And it's far from a joke. It's a great honor. The fact that when you have something that works, work to get more out of it. They created a little lapel pin of a banana. They give to people with the award. They can wear it on their name tag, and in the hallway, you can identify. Oh, you're in the elite team. Yeah, I had an idea that. Wow. I'd love to work more with you. Anything you need from me, let me know. I love hearing about that. It works. At Office of Personnel Management, going through some tough times right now. They still keep recognition alive. And being a government body, they can't buy gifts. They can't, they don't want stuff to end up on the front page of the newspaper. They've got to be they're using public funds for everything. So they have to get creative, and they do get creative, and it's just very impressive. This is a pass around award. This is a simple concept. You could do it with, this is a trophy, but you can do it with a picture. You can do it with anything. And what they do is they initially gave it to a woman that and they had the criteria. It's like 50 factors that check off that this person deserves it. And they gave it to this lady, and she went to her boss the next day. She said, "No, I appreciate getting this, the wing spread award they call it. I appreciate getting this award. I've certainly done my best to make it happen, but I got to tell you, it wasn't just me. I had a whole team of people that helped make this happen. If it's okay with you, I'd like to pass this award on to onto one of them. That it's your award. You can do whatever you want with it." And so she did, and then that person passed it on. And but if a pass around award like this can get more of the behavior you want, get a whole box of them. Okay, and do it for different reasons, and have them flying around, and then have it be a conversation piece on sitting on someone's desk. "Oh, you got yeah, what'd you do?" "Well, I had a cost saving idea, and I didn't think it was a big deal. My boss said that's great, and we put it into practice right away, and now we're able to track how much it's saved. So it's unbelievable, 50,000 so far this year. It's incredible." At Busch Gardens in Tampa, Florida, they have core value tokens. You know, uh, thank you. You make service happen, and they give this to all their supervisors, and they say, when you see a behavior, one of our core behaviors, customer service, teamwork, friendliness, whatever it is, we even if the person doesn't report to you, give them the token. Doesn't matter what the token is. It could be that could be a wooden nickel. It could be, I just worked with last company I worked with in Los Angeles. They were a construction company. Here's a token they had for safety. And it's kind of cool, one thing, but it's not just the token. They have a thing, a little ritual when they give it to the person. They say, the safety coin challenge. By accepting this coin, you accept the responsibility of becoming an active part of maintaining a positive, safety culture. So there's an obligation goes with it, and then people that excel at that, they give them a gold hard hat at the end of the year. It's just a cool program. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It drives a lot of behavior, a lot of focus, and it's a very safe culture, which is of course critical in construction. So yeah, it's not that hard. At Armark, the food service company that I've worked with, they do a lot of cool things. They name a day in an employee's honor. What does it cost you to do that? And tell everyone, you pick up the phone. "Yeah, hello. Today's Bob Jones Day here at Armark." Xerox does this as well. "And who the hell is Bob Jones?" "Well, let me tell you who he is. Let me tell you what he did." Let me take a minute to celebrate an employee, and that's just for starters. They during on the day they pick the person that the person's manager picks them up from home and chauffeurs them to work. They have the whole department in the lobby, stand ovation as they walk in. They set up lunch with the president. you know this is not silly, frivolous stuff. This creates a day in the person's life they can remember forever. Okay. Now, they don't do the same thing for everyone. If you do the same thing over and over and over, which some companies tend to do for some reason, we have a technical term for that. We call it boring. You gotta shake it up. You gotta do different things. So if you got, so if someone's more gregarious, you might do something more publicly. If they're more introverted, maybe you call their spouse and see what their hobbies are. You chip and you buy something for gardening or for fly fishing, whatever it is. Recognition is not doing the same thing for everyone. It's doing the thing that fits and motivates them, that because you've talked to them, because you've gotten to know them, because you've asked them or asked others that work with them. I had a great salesperson and I'm never in the office because I'm out working with companies all the time, and so this guy blew past his goals, and I called back in the office and said, "What's Ames was his name. What's Ames into? What's he like doing? They go, well, whenever he's on the phone, he's got these little sports cars he plays with on his desk. Ah, okay. And so I wanted to do something for Ames. I call Ames. Ames, write down this phone number. Okay. Give him a call. I just rented you a Porsche for a week. He goes, wow, Dr. Bob, you don't have to do that. And well, I want to do it because of what you've done. And we hung up. 20 minutes later, he called me back. This is the best thing anyone's ever done for me in my life. He lined up 5 different dates. We took a picture of him in the car, made it a screensaver. We got a lot of mileage out of it. Now that wasn't a free thing. That cost some bucks, some coin, but got a lot of mileage out of that. And he kept hammering for us. So it was well worth it. Here's a fun one, Cameo. You know about this? This is you could hire famous people to do a thank you, to send a message, to an employee, to someone's birthday, to whatever. And this guy on the right, I hired him the other year. I got a good buddy that works for me, that works with me on different projects, and he's a Elvis nut. I go, I'm gonna do it for him, and I hired this guy. I think it was $50, and this guy looks like Elvis. He talks like Elvis. He sings like Elvis. And darn, I said, well, this is my buddy's favorite Elvis songs. He did a message and he played those songs. I was blown away, and I bet my buddy Mario showed that to 100 people. We got a lot of traction from that, and whenever I need something from him, in a heartbeat, he's there to help me because he knows I got his back, and I want the best for him, for his family, for his career, for his life, and it's real. Okay. I'm even on Cameo. You can hire me. I think it's $37, and I'll do a personal thank you to any of your employees. And they ask you a little bit of context, and I do, and it's kind of fun actually. And actually, for the one I do, I always include a signed book that I send to the person as well. So yeah, there you have it. You can get into experiences, and this is bucket list strong suit. Let me tell you, they do some incredible things. uh, whether it's they create life memories. Work is just a part of life. It's not all there is to life. If you really want to connect with your people, get to an experience that they can remember forever, an outdoor experience, or some type of volunteer experience that they organize, or Habitat for Humanity. Doing a cooking class. You can do it virtually even, and you send everyone the ingredients, or maybe tell them to get these ingredients, and give them $20, and then we're gonna make stuff together, and we're gonna be talking and catching up, and it's gonna be a thank you and a celebration for having finished a project, or record numbers for this month or this quarter. I had a sales manager I hired from Westinghouse, and he told me they took over his department, sales department. They had never made their group goals ever. And he said, "Well, I got to do something about this," And he got to know him, and just as they're setting up the next month, he said, I know you all haven't made this happen before, but if somehow we're able to make our goals this month, that's gonna be pretty special to me. I'm gonna do something for you all." And you don't know me that well, but I make a mean Caesar salad, and I'm gonna you know barbecue and serve lunch for the group if we make our goal. And they didn't make a big thing out of it, but it became part of the banter, and sure enough, they made their goal, and he did that, and he said, "If you do it next month, I'm gonna do it again." and 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 he did. They went the next 18 months straight, making the goal every month because of the personal thing. It didn't, in fact, the accounting, the department, they heard about this, said, you don't need to pay. We'll pay for that for you. He said, "The heck you will." Part of why this works is coming from me personally. I don't mind putting in a little money and the time to honor my people that have made me successful as well as the company. He said, if you start paying for that, then you could call me next month accounting and say, hey, those ribeyes are kind of pricey. Can we have hamburger next month? You're gonna kill the whole thing. No thanks. And he held on to it because it was working. If you find something that's working, work it, keep going, add to it, expand it. And again, I defer to Jason and team for knocking out of the park in the experience department. They do incredible, incredible stuff. So just to add on some, again, my belief, my experience, my research, the top motivators for employees don't cost any money. A lot of times people have a hard time believing this, but it's true. So I've hammered pretty hard the praise thing, but let me give you a few others that have come up from my research. Honest, direct, honest, two-way communication. 95% of employees say that's what they need to do their job well. Don't play games with me. Tell me what you want. Tell me, help me do it. If I don't do it, give it to me straight before it's a big problem. It's easier to solve a small problem than to wait, 6 months and now I'm on a probationary period. What the heck, uh, be honest, be real with me. Asking your employees for employee input and ideas. What does that cost to ask a question? Anybody else have any ideas how we can improve things around here? You know, any cost saving ideas? I worked with one company in Connecticut. They did a thing called iPower. All they did was ask employees to make suggestions. They asked specifically for 2 a week, and they put iPower boxes all around. So people put their ideas in, and instead of having a suggestion committee that most companies have that shoots down all those ideas, there's a suggestion box in the break room with a lock on it, and no one opens this box. And if they do happen to, 3 months from now and they get a form letter back from the committee that says, here's why we're not using your silly idea. What gives you the right to think you know what we should do best in purchasing? Won't happen again. That's the way suggestion programs are in most companies. At this company, Boardroom Inc., they asked for 2 ideas. They didn't have a big committee shoot those ideas. They took a volunteer from the group to review the ideas, and they coached them. They said, we're looking for ideas. So be positive, be grateful, thank people for their idea. And so what say someone, just another employee looking at the ideas, wow, this is a great idea. You should really do it. They gave it back to the person with the implicit permission to proceed. Let us know if we can help you with your idea. Let me tell you, game changer, absolute game changer. There was a kid, they worked in shipping, and they have these, they sell these big hardbound books. And this kid, one of his suggestions is one of the weeks in the middle of last summer, he said, next time we order this book, if we have the printer trim the page size, he calculated by less than a 1/16 of an inch, it'll save us some money in postage. Because he knew that they could drop the postage to 4th-class postage or whatever. I remember the CEO of the company said, Bob, I've worked in direct mail for 27 years. I didn't even know there was a 4th-class postal rate, but the kids staring at the chart every day knew it. And we give him a chance to say and bring his impact to it. They made that change. In the first year alone, they saved $500,000 in postage, which continued the next years. And the kid became celebrated as in the company as a legend, and it drove a lot of other people to have suggestions. They got first year alone, they got 2,000 suggestions. Did they implement all of them? No, but they implemented enough of them to know it made a difference. In fact, this was so successful, just doing this one thing, doing it well, the only thing they did on suggestion, they were able to grow their revenues 5-fold in a 3-year period, just from having a real active suggestion program that was sincere and honest. And they told me, by the way, just on the side, all of our turnover stopped. Why would you go somewhere else? You can turn whatever job you're doing into a more exciting job. And you got to go. I've talked to a lot of people that had an idea and then they ended up running a department. I'll give you an example. Everyone probably knows of Johnsonville Foods, the brat people that out of Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Well, I was talking to the CEO, Ralph Stair, and he told me, that his admin uh, said to him one day, Mr. Stair, I always wondered why we got such great product. Why don't we don't sell it directly to the consumer? We all sell it through middlemen. And he said if she had asked that a few years earlier, he would have said, "Well, Jane, that's why, you know, the management makes all the important decisions. You're just supposed to type the letters and, don't bother us." But he didn't say that. He said, "Jane, that's an interesting idea. Why don't you check into that?" And Jane, formerly administrative assistant, fast forward, now is running a consumer direct to consumer department that in its first year made $2 million. I can spend a whole hour just telling you stories like that, okay, that I've seen that are real. Um, Providing autonomy and authority as a person has a good idea is very motivating. Involvement with decision making. 89% of employees say they want to be involved in decisions that are made where they work, especially if the decision affects them and their job, which they got something to say about it. You want to make the best decision? Ask them, involve them. Even if you're the manager, you say, "I've got to make the final decision." I know it'll be a better one if I get your input. And that's why I want to ask you, what do you think of this? And even if you do something, no matter what you do, you're gonna get more support. So whatever decision you make is gonna be implemented more easily, faster, because you've involved people in making it happen. 89% of employees say, "Hey, do that. What does it cost you to do that? A little time, Focus on the employee's career and future. This is a big one, a big one. 70% of younger generations, millennials and Gen Z, are planning to change jobs this year. 70% going forward, every year going forward, at least 30% of your total population, employee population, will change jobs. If you want to get off the treadmill and get out of having to constantly recruit and train and take 6 months to get someone up to speed, start treating them in a way that matters. Start talking from the first day when they start. A lot of places you could work in this community. What was it about working here that really attracted you? What do you hope to get out of this job? What do you want to learn? Where do you want to be 5 years from now? And if you don't have an answer, that's okay, but we're going to keep talking about it. So think about it. Your job as a leader is to help people be successful, okay? To get the job done through them. Uh, Peter Drucker, management is getting work done through others, okay? But then to help them be successful. And if you do that through your behavior, they know you got their back. Why would they go anywhere else? People think 2, 3 times about leaving a manager that's a good manager because they only have one out of every 4 or 5 jobs. They only have one manager they think is good for all of us. That's what the stats say. If you got that one that's good, you think twice about leaving them. And if they leave, you think hard about following them because what's life's too short to work for a jerk, you know? The whole learning, career development, what are you going to do next is important. My wife's a computer scientist. She's manages 12 male technical people. Last quarter, last quarter, 4 of them were promoted to other areas of the company. She wasn't offended by that. She said, "Now I got more work. I got to fill their shoes." She was delighted for them. In fact, why they're able to do that because she kept pushing them. What are you interested in? Well, let me go work on this project with that other department for 2 weeks. Let me know what you think. Maybe transfer there if you like it better. She's not trying to hold power and build a domain. She's trying to help people. It's a great man, a great leader to work for. Uh, when you get to stuff like career and learning, you're into pay dirt. You're into really making the connection. And by the way, if you we're talking about recognition, if you make recognition happen, it works in any relationship. Okay, for your employees, it works with your boss too. By the way, it works at home with your spouse. It works with your kids. Okay, uh, but if you at work, if you get enough leaders doing it, you get to a point of being a culture of recognition, and then some additional magic happens. According to Merits, um, your employees will be 5 times more likely to feel valued. They'll be 6 times more likely to have agency, that is, to be excited to tell others where they work and why. They will be 7 times more likely to stay with your organization for their careers. Anyone that's grappling with retention, this is the one sentence answer right here. Culture of recognition will stem the tide of turnover. Guaranteed. and 11 times more likely to be committed to their job, to the boss, to the mission of the organization. Wow. This stuff is real and it runs deep. And so if you think it's frivolous and it's silly and we do have a party at the end of the year, wake up and get in the game. This is what drives human performance. This is what attracts people to you like a magnet. Supporting people when a mistake is made. Again, common sense. Most of this is common sense. Voltaire in 1640 said, "There's most common sense is not common." And unfortunately, it's true today. So supporting people when they make a mistake, okay, not jumping on, making them feel worse, not embarrassing them in front of their peers, taking the long game of the relationship you have with that person, and maybe saying, I'm not sure I would have done it the same way, but what'd you learn from that mistake? I bet you'll never make it again. No, I won't. What else did you learn? Okay, great. I'm glad you made that mistake. Best training we've had for you all year. Wow, you have a manager that says that? Let me tell you, they're not going to leave you. um, anyway, the greatest motivators are all no cost. So let me touch on our time's getting tight. Let me touch on the hybrid stuff, virtual recognition rewards. 90% of employers plan to offer some type of hybrid work model going forward. Seems like the most common one right now is 3 days a week in the office, a couple flexible days. As I mentioned, the 2 million federal U.S. employees have been told now they all need to come back to work every day. I feel it's a little short-sighted, but we will see. But for those that do have remote and hybrid employees, here's some thoughts that you can make sure to pull them into this. Um, Online meeting call outs. So when you're on a Zoom call like we are now, you can call out someone and say, hey, good job, chit chat before we get started as a meeting. Great job, Mary, Sally, whatever, John. How'd that go? Okay. Or electronic thank you cards. I know Bucket List has this type of thing and much more. Easy to add a personalized comment to a card that's already there. Praise Barrage, I think, is a fun one. So you have a Zoom call. It's a weekly update, whatever here. Here you got the team on the call, and you say, "Hey, before we get into our agenda here, I just want to take a couple minutes and go around the group as I call your name. I like other people to say what they most value about working with you." This shot was Gary. Okay, now Sally, now Tim. What happens? 10 minutes later, you have everyone has gotten real, sincere, positive feedback on something they actually did that somebody noticed. They will feel great about themselves. They will be more likely to continue doing that, if not do it better. And what else happened? You just pulled the team tighter together as a working unit. We got each other's back. You can do this on a Zoom call. If happen to be in person, you can do it with index cards. Everyone gets some index cards, or write 2 thank yous to someone you own in the team. And you pass these exchange cards. I tell you what, you read 5 or 6 index cards of getting thanks and the feedback for something you did. You're gonna be quicker to do that, offer that help to the next person. It's just human nature. Okay. uh, Praise buddies and my me pages. I got this from Hyatt. They told me that they assign kind of like Secret Santas. They assign praise buddy that okay, you're in charge of tracking this fellow employee and what they're doing in their job and when they've had a breakthrough or success or good news, to thank them and to celebrate with the group, but to tell the group about it. And then someone else is assigned to you. It's kind of a cool, fun thing. And then when people join, they have them create me pages, which is basically like 10 or a dozen questions about them, their hobbies, their pets, or the pets' names, or the family situation, stuff like that. So people can thank them on an irrelevant way when need be. I've done that just in person. I had a department and just say, hey, everyone just turn to the person next to you and share 2 things about yourself outside of work, your hobbies or whatever, and just a 10-minute exercise. Just stunning the response. That people say, God, I've been working with Gary for 3 years. I had no idea that he, um, uh, bred pets, or he gardened, or whatever I do that too, and now we got a new connection, a new bond. Again, making the team stronger. Uh, Applause electronic bulletin boards. This is, and again, bucket list is all over this one as well. If you want to take recognition to the next level, you got to provide a form to track what's going on, to make it easier through an app, through a website, and that allows you to track who's doing it, who's not doing it, who's getting it, who's not getting it, which allows you to acknowledge and thank those people that are doing it. Okay, do a little spotlight on the manager that's good at this, and write them up on the website, and maybe some coaching for those that aren't in the game. Okay, this is how you move the needle to create a culture of recognition. You got to use the tools that are available. Electronic is a big ways, and again, bucket list is great at this. Simultaneous celebrations. Okay, let's have a popcorn. Take a break for popcorn. I for my virtual employees, I went to Target and I got a microwave popcorn popper. Coolest thing. I think it was $7, and I sent one of these to all my virtual employees I work with. And now on any given day, we could say, hey, let's make some popcorn and talk about this. Throw a half cup of popcorn. You don't even need the oil in this. Put it in your microwave. Hit the microwave button for popcorn. 30 seconds later, you got a bucket of popcorn. You could be on a call with people and munching popcorn, just taking a break and having a good time talking about a problem. It's fun. It's easy. It's simple. Um, and then again, customizing recognition for remote employees. A lot of remote employees already feel like they're in a field office. They're away. They're not thought about much. So, you gotta put a little more effort into doing stuff for them. Here's some ideas I've seen from companies. Doing some fun recognition for remote employees. You can have a theme dress, for the next Zoom meeting. You can do an art and poetry contest as Two Connected. You can a Lego sales enablement company. They hosted a kids best talent show, and and parents filmed their kids doing different stuff, and they submitted them and they shared them and gave some prizes. And it was just fun. It was fun, and but it also recognized that everyone has a family. Come on, they've got pets. Hey, let's have a next Zoom call. Let's everyone show up, hold up their pet. Is it a lizard, is it a cat, a dog, whatever. You know, uh, Ways to connect with people, to make it more human, to make work more like a family. This is what you're after, and if you get there, get out of the way, because performance will happen. So when it comes to hybrid, identify what is important to people, ask them one-on-one, ask them as a group. Maybe that's one takeaway from this. You're going to ask your group, hey, we heard this thing on recognition, got me thinking, are we doing enough of it in our area? I want to know what you all think. What more could we do? What would you like? Um, do at least what you're doing for in-office employees for the remote ones, okay? Because they already feel kind of left out. So work to bring them in. Maybe do a little bit something more from them because they feel out of sight, out of mind. And then when you do get a chance, follow up face to face with everyone. This might be when they first start. I know my wife worked for a company in Austin. They wanted to move us there. We're in San Diego. I will stay here, thanks. But they brought my wife there to the company for two plus weeks for initial orientation, in part to be able to meet the people she's going to be working with and the people she needs to call when there's a problem or she needs something. Again, it's just smart, but you got to have that person-to-person connection. So in summary, and I want to save a little time for some questions, do something personal for your employees this Employee Appreciation Day. Do something that's fun and memorable, something they'll brag about to others, especially for the younger generation. 90% report they want to have fun at work. In fact, when you send me your your address for some goodies. I'll throw in Work Made Fun Gets Done if you want 400 specific ideas for making work, individual work, teamwork in our department, organizational work more fun. My latest book I did with Mario Tamayo. And then don't leave anyone out, especially those that are remote and virtual. Those may be the ones that need it most. Because if you work in the office and you see people all the time, and there's a lot of informal stuff going on, going to lunch together, whatnot. So you gotta work a little harder to connect with those people you don't see very often. And that's what I wanted to share with you. Got some goodies for you. I know Bucket List has some goodies for you as well. If I've got a top 10 ways to motivate employees mouse pad. And I mentioned this little wallet card, a job aid, and you could use this with employees. You say, "Here's what I'm trying to do. Let me know if I got it all." So the best management is what you do with people, not what you do to them. Learned that from Ken Blanchard as well. So if you'd like those items, please send me an email with your physical mailing address. Don't send me an email with just your email address. I need a physical mailing address to get to you through the mail. Okay. People always send me, here's my email, send it to me. If only. Okay. And by the way, everyone also gets a bonus e-doc. I did 101 of the best ways to recognize teams and teamwork. So that's what we got going, cooking for you, and with the Bucket List as well. And with that, let me pass control back to uh, Rebecca and Jason. And I'm going to stop sharing, and you can take it from here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Bob. I don't know if you had a chance to look at the comments, but people were sharing how much they loved the ideas and different things that they too were doing in their organizations for employee appreciation. So I'll make sure to save that chat and share it out afterwards. And so yeah,
Thank
now
you.
we're getting to the end of the session, so I'll just start wrapping up now. I'd love to take a moment just to share a bit more about Bucket List Rewards and the work that we do. And as you all know, Employee Appreciation Day is definitely one of our favorite days of the year. It's just such a great reminder to continue that important work of making sure people feel valued and recognized for all their contributions throughout the year. And our platform is really designed to help you do just that. We're a trusted partner to organizations of all shapes and sizes and industries around the world. Just want to share a few quick stories here. Our focus is really on helping organizations roll out an effective program that's, easy to use, well loved, and really delivers results. So here's some examples with Home Instead. They're a senior care company, and after rolling out the program, they saw a turnover drop more than 40% in some of their care centers. We've also worked with a number of financial institutions, one of them being First Bank, and after rolling out the program, now they're seeing 90% engagement with the program. It's just so wonderful to see all these organizations really embedding recognition into the fabric of their culture. And so, if recognition is on your people and culture agenda this year, we'd love to be considered. As Jason mentioned, we did really want to celebrate Employee Appreciation Day with y'all and are offering a recognition box if you come chat with us at a demo. So you can give this QR code a quick scan and fill it in, or you can hit yes on the poll and one of us will get back to you to get that set up. And Jason did mention before that there was an exclusive offer. And so this is the exclusive offer. We want to make it a no-brainer for people to try out Bucket List Rewards. And so a new thing for us, we're offering a free 3-month pilot for 10 organizations. And we'll also be funding $1,500 in employee rewards just so your team can get a real feel for how this platform would be on your team. And most importantly, we will be guaranteeing results. And so if we don't hit those goals that we've set with you prior to the pilot, like turnover or engagement, you'll get the platform free for a year. So on the poll, hit yes if you're interested in learning more about this or getting signed up. And as we head on to Q&A, Dr. Bob, I know we're a bit over time, but would you want to take maybe one question and we can...
Yeah. And by the way, I we'll commit to answering questions online for any we don't get to, because I know we got a few in before. And if you didn't get your question addressed, please I think you can give me who sent them as well, and I'll get back to them, and we can actually post them to everyone as well.
Amazing.
Yes.
I popped your email into the chat, so hopefully it's easy for people to get back to you. That's a very kind offer, and I hope people take you up on it because you have such a wealth of knowledge and information that you're always super keen on sharing. Oh, and before I forget, I did pop on the professional development credits on screen. I know they're friends on the phone today, so I'll just take a quick sec to read it out. HRCI, the activity ID is 697491. And for the SHRM one, it's 25-GP7DK. I'll pop into the comments as well as Dr. Bob's answering. And if you've attended today, an email will go out tomorrow with this info as well. So stay tuned. All right, Dr. Bob, there's one really great question, or a few really great questions that came in during the course of the session. And I think the one that Lynn asked is pretty relevant to the topic today. And so Lynn is wondering, Dr. Bob, how did you come up with the idea of National Employee Appreciation Day? What was kind of like your sentiment around in the goals that you had of achieving this?
Well, 30 years ago, I wrote a book, 1,000 Ways to Reward Employees, and one of the ideas in kicking around how to get the word out about that was this idea, creating a day. And it kind of hit a nerve. Actually, the book kind of hit a nerve too. In the first month or two, it sold 40,000 copies. Now it's in its 64th printing. It's sold over 2 million. So it's good content, and it's all, one of the great things about it, it's all real life examples. I pride myself in using real examples. I'm from academia. I've got a PhD, and it always frustrated me when you read stuff that says a mid-sized manufacturing firm in the Midwest does. They go, tell us who it is. Come on, because it gives more credibility. And actually, not only so, all ideas in my books are all actual ideas, but then I put their contact information in the back, so you can actually follow up and say, hey, what have you done lately with that idea? Where did it go from there? And 99 out of 100 people, if you call them and say, I read about you, they would love to share what more happened, because they're proud of it. And when you get recognized internally for some, outside the organization, it really sends a message internally that you're doing the right thing. So take advantage of that.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Bob, and the thanks and the positivity just still rolling in the chat. So I just want to take a moment to say thank you so much for sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, and all the energy and positivity you bring to employee appreciation.
And thank Bucket List for making this possible, because if we didn't have someone hosting it, it wouldn't happen. And so fourth time we've done this, and every time it gets better and better. So I think you guys are an incredible company. I love what you do, and I've talked to your customers and your employees. It's all just a positive, high performance type thing, and it's not that hard to make happen to help others. So
Well,
please take advantage of their offer as well.
thank
Thank
you
you
so
so much.
and thank you to everyone who came today as well. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we'll see you at a future event. Bye now.
Thank you.